You're live at Ike Diaz on Ike Diaz Live with my special guest Jimmy Abeyta. How you doing, Jimmy Abeyta?
All right, all right, all right.
You ready to rock and roll? We about to get down. Oh, that's the bad thing about that. Hold on a second. I gotta turn. I have to turn that down real quick. Sorry about that, guys. I had to turn it down the volume because we're gonna try to look at the chat while we're live, so that when people pop in and say hello, we could talk to everybody. The only thing I don't like is it looks like we're lip syncing. You know what I'm saying?
That's all right.
It's weird, huh?
I lip synced before.
We're not lip syncing though. We're live. See how we screen share to the TV? I love doing that, dude. I think it's the coolest thing in the world.
Oh, right on.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's right on.
I never thought I'd get nervous with my own self being behind me.
I'm live with Jimmy Abeyta, the legend Jimmy Abeyta from Denver, Colorado. It is awesome to have you in the house with me, man. This is cool, man.
I'm excited.
This is like, man, like me and Jimmy Abeyta, we go way back 20 years.
Yeah, don't start mentioning years because then it's gonna make me seem old.
No, it's actually longer than 20 years because my daughter was in preschool and before, dude, and now I don't want to say the ages. I know you don't want me to mention ages.
It's all right. I'm not ashamed of my age. The way I look at it is, the more years that I stay on this above ground and doing what I love to do is a blessing. So I don't. Aging is something that we have to try to accept. It's part of life, and as long as you age gracefully, which I have, and don't forget to laugh. That's the most important thing.
And you're active. You've always been active, so that's good, man. Like you.
Yeah, I can still do 100 push-ups.
Yeah.
It takes me a week, but I could do them.
Yeah, I could do about 5 to 10 push-ups, man.
I discovered the fountain view too.
Did you?
Yeah. Don't look at mirrors.
Yeah, we're looking at a mirror right now. Actually, we're looking at a black mirror, dude. But that's a whole nother podcast. That's a whole nother broadcast. I keep calling this a podcast.
Black mirror?
Yeah,
you say black?
Yeah, they're called black mirrors. You know what I mean?
That sounds racist.
Well, that's what they're called, man. Like in the world of conspiracy, that's what they're called, dude. Even like the TV show that's on Netflix, they talk about that, dude. They're called scrolling mirrors or something like that.
Oh, okay. You learn something new every day.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, man. Like I'm deep into all that stuff, man. Like you probably know already I'm a flat earther, you know what I mean? What's up? We got Denko riding. What's up, Denko? What's up, man? Thank you for stopping by. You're live with Ike Diaz and the other legend, Jimmy Abeyta. You got two legends in the house tonight. It's pretty cool. Say what's up to the homie Denko riding, man.
Oh, okay. What's up? How you doing out there?
He's
tuning in.
He's he's a big artist out of Colorado, man.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, okay. He's a big hip hop artist out of Colorado. He does a lot of work out here in Colorado, man.
I probably worked with him then.
Yeah, you may have, man. So
I've worked with a lot of people over the years. So
yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, like that we got him dropping in, man. I appreciate it, man. Let me just write to him real quick. I try to see. We said we're gonna have there it is, right there. That's good, huh?
Oh, too bad you can't just say it, huh?
Yeah, I say it and then I type it in. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, right on.
I do both. You know, so that way we know, who's in and who's out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, while you're typing, I'm gonna go ahead and.
What do you want to do?
I'm gonna go ahead and take another sip of my drink.
Oh yeah, go for it, dude. I sit here. I drink my drinks.
Speaking of drinking, you know what my New Year's resolution was?
What is it?
I am no longer gonna drink the cheap vodka.
Oh,
it's just the expensive stuff.
That's your New Year's resolution?
Yeah.
I drank vodka like once or twice in my life, man. I'll never do that again. That was a mistake. I'm going on 10 years no drinking, man. Well, actually, I had a beer and a half a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't even worth it because I woke up on a hangover off of beer, man. Just one beer. Just one beer, and I was sick. And I actually, really, to be honest with you, I drank like 2 drinks out of it, and I threw it down.
I can't drink beer. Last time I drank a beer, I got a yeast infection.
I'm sitting here with the awesome Jimmy Abeyta. It goes down. It goes live with Ike Diaz. Everybody knows we get it in. We get it in. We party. I want to thank everybody for being here. We got right now we have Jazzy, Gina, Trent, Denko riding. You know what I'm saying?
So more people are tuning in.
Trent, yeah, we got hello to all of you guys. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Later on, I'll type in hi, how you doing? You know what I mean? But right now we're with the legendary Jimmy Abeyta. It's pretty awesome. I'm excited. It's gonna be a great broadcast. We're gonna get down. So it's basically we're gonna we want to talk just a little bit about I got some questions I want to ask him, and we want to talk about a little bit about what's coming up in the future because we got some future plans. Me and him got some future plans. As far as hitting the road, we got some local events that we're going to be putting together. He has some stuff that's coming up, so it's going to be pretty cool. I got some shows coming up. Everybody already knows about that, so it's pretty excited. I got the 2. I haven't even mentioned this. The 2 tracks I did with Too Short, they're finally done. I can't wait to release them. They're going to be on iTunes, iHeart, all over the place. So make sure you check me out on that. I'm kind of like trying to put the screen so we're both in the picture there.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get into a couple questions with my good friend Jimmy Abeyta, my family Jimmy Abeyta. We go back so long. We're like brothers, So it's good. It's a good feeling to have Jimmy Abeyta here in the studio live with me. You know what I mean? Like it's I appreciate it, Jimmy. You know what I mean? For you to come by, come kick it with me, and to do a live broadcast. I appreciate it. It's all love, man.
Thanks for
I love you, man, and I thank you for coming down. Because it's a big opportunity for me, and I hope you're comfortable with the opportunity that that's presented.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question is I want to know, have you always been funny?
Well, funny you should mention that. My mom said that I was always funny. She said when I was 4 years old, I got in front of 100 strangers wearing a construction hat and construction boots, and I danced the cha-cha. And I said, "What's so funny about that?" And she said, "That's all you had on."
So like the thing about that though is like the Me Too movement. It's not funny. It's not as funny as it used to be. You know what I'm saying? But 20 years ago, that was like the funniest in the world. I don't cuss. The funniest stuff in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what else? What else do you feel has made you been funny over the years, or even in the beginning?
Just hanging out with my family, and we used to put on little shows for my family, and I would just do little skits. And I think the first time I really discovered that I could get a laugh was it was on a hot summer day, and there was it was a barbecue, family barbecue, and there was maybe about 20-30 people sitting outside, and I just took it upon myself to try to see if how far I could run sideways on a chain link fence before I fell. And
Wow,
I kept doing it over and over and over. But I got up to like maybe 7 steps to where I could actually run sideways on a chain link fence. And every time I fell and I got up, I got bigger laughs. And that was when I first, I think,
it set the stage.
I realized I was hooked on making people laugh.
Yeah.
So
that's a good way. That's a good way to know that that's what you want to do in your career. You know what I mean? That's a good way to say, hey, this is it. This is what we're doing for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Well, I didn't know what all it was going to entail, detail-wise. I just knew that from that point on, I was hooked because everybody was laughing at me, and I was doing something silly. You know,
man.
I was trying to defy the laws of gravity.
You know, gravity is just a theory. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do know that, right? It's taught in school as a fact, but
it might have been a theory, but and I might have got a couple of bruises in it, but like I said,
it worked.
I was hooked
Yeah.
at that point. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds good. Any other stories that you might have coming up as to why you're so funny? I've watched Abeyta several times, man, and this guy from beginning to end just has me cracking up. We used to do so many shows. I don't know. We probably did 50, 60 shows together. I'm just guessing. I don't even remember. It's been a while back. What other things that made you feel like that was so funny in your life growing up, man?
It's kind of, there's just so many, you know, it's kind of hard to really narrow it down to like, you know, I could write a book if I had enough time, you know. I should write a book.
Yeah, but that's a good idea.
Everyday life, everyday life growing up and just things happening. But I think for the most part, it's like my good friend Paul Rodriguez said, you can't plant an orange tree today and expect oranges tomorrow. So it was a growing process.
Yeah.
And, you know, just always learning and writing and experiencing funny things on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, that's where the material comes from. The truth is funny. And just stuff that happens in everyday life is where the comedy is. If you look, anywhere you look, you're gonna see comedy. I see it on a daily basis.
Yeah, guaranteed, man. Guaranteed. That's funny the way you worded that, because I see the transition now, because like I told you, like I host these events and I'm kind of doing the crossover thing where I'm kind of going into comedy now. I'm getting booked for comedy events, you know what I mean? And I see what you mean as far as the transition goes, you know, because I came from the hip hop world and now going into the the comedy world. So I see the transition. I know exactly what you mean by what you just said, and we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? Really, I host shows, but I've been booked for some events where I did like a 10-minute set. You know what I mean? Nothing major, but you know what I mean. But I know you could probably do a 45-minute hour set. I could do nothing like that. What's your average like length as far as a set goes for being funny? You know what I mean?
I actually have over 2.5 hours of original material, but you know, to be able to do that nonstop would be tricky because one, you know, it has to be the right venue. It has to have a lot of people that are paying to see a comedy show. So it's not a common thing for me at this point in my career because, you know, it takes a lot of production to put something like that together.
Yeah.
But as far as material, original material, I have it in my archives, and plus I have it in here, you know. So
yeah, that's cool, man.
And then a lot of people don't realize it takes a lot of editing and rewriting and changing stuff around over the years. It could take up to 4 years to perfect and get a really good joke down. A lot of people don't realize that it can take a while to trim the fat, and that's how you could tell too is if a comic's green and they're new to the business, they tend to be more wordy and a lot of ifs, ands, and buts, that things that don't have relevance to the joke.
And probably and just like podcasts, like
Well, yeah, the more seasoned we get, the more experience we get, we learn how to trim the fat and get to the point. And basically, less is more. The more you can say, and that's the least amount of time is the better comic or entertainer when it comes to comedy.
Yeah. So being as funny as you've always been, and I know that personally that you're one of the funniest comics I've ever seen.
Thank you.
what's kept you motivated and to keep doing this, like throughout being the funny person that you are?
I would have to just say, just waking up and looking back on all the things that I've done over the years and accomplishments and the things that I've had the privilege of doing in my career, and just everyday life. And comedy has always been a important part of my life. Not so much when I was younger growing up, because I was doing the normal things that kids do, but when I got into my teens, early teens, and started making people laugh and realizing at house parties and barbecues and family functions I could make people laugh, then that's when I was really hooked, so to speak. I didn't realize that I could do it as a profession and in front of a lot of people until that day that I told you, when I was trying to run along a chain link fence.
You're still cracking me up with that, Jimmy. You still got me on that one. Yeah, I'd have to see that. Imagine, I'd have to imagine you doing it now at this age, man. Like, that would be the funniest stuff, man. That thinking about it, man. But that seems like a good time. So I want to get to your role models. Who has been your main role models?
Well, I have to first say my dad was my main role model. See, because I have 7 sisters and I'm the only boy, and I didn't even pee stand until I was 14. But that's another story. But yeah, my dad, I'm his only son, and my dad, rest in peace.
He was my
mentor, and he taught me a lot of really, really good, important things in life, and he had a lot of good philosophies. And
my philosophy is this.
Yeah, he just had a lot of things, lessons that he taught me in life that will never leave me, and they're a part of me. And so I would have to say my dad is my first. He was my biggest mentor and role model, and he was always a hard worker and a good provider and a good family man. My mom every once in a while she'll say he wasn't. I mean, he was a good man, and yes, he was, and all this and that. But she's like, he wasn't exactly as perfect as you guys think. He had his little things too. And I said, well, what man doesn't?
Yeah, all of us do. All of us do.
There was only one man that walked this earth that was perfect. And
Jesus.
Yep. And speaking of that, I told my mom the other day I found Jesus.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, it was in Wichita, Kansas, at the McDonald's. That's what his name tag said, anyhow.
You always give me with those, man. Those punchlines, man. And what else?
So the other mentor was Paul Rodriguez.
Guaranteed, man. Guaranteed.
He was the first comedian that I saw live, and I'll never forget it because it was at the Boulder Theater. And at the end of the show, I was the last person. Me and Paul were actually the last 2 people to leave the theater, and there was a white stretch limousine out in front. And I told him that I had already started doing comedy, but I had only been doing it like maybe 6 months at that point. And he put his arm around me, and we looked up at the marquee, and his name was there real big. It said Paul Rodriguez. And he looked up and he says, "Look, Jimmy," he says, "maybe someday your name will be up there." And I'll never forget that. And he was just really, really cool. And I've become friends with him. We talk at least twice a year now, and we have for the last 20 years.
Yeah. So he's been a real big influence on your life as far as the comic world goes.
A good friend, a great comic in his own right, and a mentor. Yeah. And yeah, not all the time, but I would have to say at least 75% of the time that he's ever come to Colorado, he usually lets me open for him. So he'll call me and ask me what I'm doing on such and such date. And I gotta confess.
I
gotta confess that there's been a couple of times that I told him that I didn't have nothing going on, and I did. But I'd rather do something with him than do whatever I was.
Oh, of course, man. But real quick, I just want to rewind real quick. Before we went on, Jimmy had shown me a picture of him and his father, and it was a really nice picture. You know, I want to say,
it was back in the day when I was 29, and I don't know how old my dad was, but yeah.
Yeah, you guys looked really good together. I want to say, good picture, man. You know what I mean? That's like good memories. You know what I mean? Like I could imagine the memories you and your father had.
I gotta admit though, in that photo, you can't really tell by looking at it, but I was a little nervous that day, and I remember because I accidentally left in a hurry, and I accidentally wore my mom's underwear, and it was an accident. I didn't realize it. She wore boxers at the time, but that's another story. So
yeah, no, keep going with your story. Keep going with it. Don't stop. You got to keep going, man. Once you start those rants, you got to keep going for me, man. My philosophy is this. We already said it. What's that?
Philosophy.
You put on your mama's panties. No,
no, boxers.
Boxers. You put on her boxers. All right.
On accident. Yeah.
No, but a really good picture, man. That was a really good picture. Like I said, I know you have good memories, man, because I think about me and my kids and my sons, and I'm like, especially my youngest son, it's just so amazing, like the transformation, how good and how positive he is, and you know what I mean. And I know your dad set you up, was a good role model for you. So I understand, where you guys were, I don't know about that era. I don't know, because I'm a 70s baby, late 70s baby. So I don't really know how that era ran, you know what I mean? But I know from the stories, that I've heard how it was. So I know, man, it's cool to have a father. Like my youngest son, I call him dad because my real dad was really never in my life. So I call him dad, you know what I mean? And it's me and him have a really good relationship. You had like I said, you had just missed him by like 5 minutes, man. And you remembered him when he was like 2 years old, 1 year old. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my youngest son. So you that goes a long way back. So I'm gonna get into the next question for you. Do you come from a really big family, or is it a smaller, tighter knit group, or?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I have 7 sisters. I'm the only boy, and I didn't pee stand until I was 14, and but kids are
get me on that one, Jimmy.
Kids are lucky because they have time out now. We didn't have time out. We had time with our mean grandma. That was our punishment. And my grandma was one of those mean little Mexican ladies.
Yeah.
And she could multitask. She's the only woman I ever met that can make tortillas and hit us at the same time.
Whoop it down, huh?
And one time I was at my grandma's and I was playing monsters in the bathroom. This is before Jaws. Then all of a sudden here because of my grandma. I don't care for you no more. You don't live in here. Those things you make tortillas with. Well, whatever they are, I know they hurt, and that's cold-blooded because I was only 5 years old. I didn't know those were her dentures.
Oh no! No, you got me on that one. You got. That's a good one, man. You got me. That's a really good one right there, man. Jimmy, that one I'm gonna be thinking about all the time.
Every time you hear that,
yeah, I'm gonna just start cracking up.
It'll be my grandma's dentures.
It'll be like 2 a.m. I'll be sleeping. I'll just wake up laughing. Oh man! So you really have 7 sisters?
Mm-hmm.
You really have 7 sisters? Younger, older? You in the middle?
All ages. Yeah, I'm in the middle.
You're in the middle, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. I didn't. No brothers at all, huh?
No.
Not even cousins that you call brothers?
All my brothers out on the streets.
Yeah, like me, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, dude. You know, because I treat, you know, we always
A
treat
lot
each
of my
other like
brothers, a
brothers.
lot of my brothers out on the street are brothers, literally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It becomes like that after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I grew up with the biggest black family in Inglewood, the Thomases, and they were all brothers.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was 19 of them.
I
19
can
from the
imagine.
same mom and dad. That was crazy.
From the same mom and dad.
Yep. And I remember one time this guy went to Mr. Thomas's house from the housing authority, and he knocked on the door and he said, "We have reason to believe that you have more than one family living here, sir." And he said, "These are all my kids. You get off my property right now."
He probably pulled a shotgun out, huh?
It was funny because that guy walked off. He walked off so fast with his little briefcase, and I'll never forget it. He's just so scared.
Man, that is amazing, dude. 19 children, man.
Yeah.
I bet you that's where you got a lot of your comedy from, because you've seen so much with them, huh?
Oh yeah, growing up with them, and just I learned a lot.
I bet you can go off on like all the stuff that like some of the stuff they did, huh?
Yeah, and a lot of my comedy comes from the different styles of people's lifestyles and different personalities that people have, and that's why a lot of times I'll mention my neighbor, my sister, my brother, my uncle in my comedy, because I don't pick on groups of people. I talk about real life situations of people that have happened in my life, like you know, if I talk about racism or whatever, I'm not talking about, because I love everybody, but I tell the truth, and that's one of my mottos is I love everybody, but I tell the truth. And when I talk about someone, I'm not talking about their religion, their ethnic background, or how they dress, or if their sexual preference. None of that stuff. Their religion. I just talk about them as an individual, and it's a real life story, and it doesn't have anything to do with, like I said, their race, their religion, if they prefer to be, with the same sex or whatever. I've never been judgmental that way, and I think it comes from being raised around the Thomases and my good friend Emil Azam. He's Arabic, and just did different cultures in the same block growing up.
But you grew up in Colorado most of your life, right? Born and raised Coloradoan, right? Yeah, dude. So, what neighborhood did you grow up in, if you don't mind me asking now?
It's so crazy that you should mention that, because we moved around so much. I could never claim one part of town, because I lived in every part of town, and
that's sort of like me. I'm in the same kind of boat there.
Yeah, whenever buddy would ask me, "Where are you from?" I'd just say, "I'm from Denver," and they say, "What part?" And I say, "All part." Or what side?
Yeah, what side?
I say west side, east side, north side. I was all sides.
Yeah,
and that's what I would always say.
You're from like before everybody got real deep into the east side, west side, north side, south side. As far as I know, I don't know if it was like that before.
They tried to do that to me, but they couldn't, because I wouldn't let them. I would tell them. I'd straighten them out right away, and I'd tell them straight up, "I'm from Denver. I'm not from any side."
You represent for Colorado, huh?
Yeah, I represent Denver. I represent D-Town.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm just checking the time real quick. Make sure, because we still got an appointment with a couple clubs tonight, guys, that we're gonna be attending to talk about some future events, guys. So I'm not trying to rush Jimmy Abeyta. I want to hear all these stories, man, because they're all excited, man. I know Jimmy got some deep stories, dude, about like what kind of stuff he's been through, and some of his comedic background and a bunch of the guys he's ran with, Mm-hmm. So I know Jimmy's been putting it down for a lot of years. So it's like it's fun to be able to work with somebody.
Do we got more people tuning in?
Yeah, no, that's what I was just checking right now. Oh, okay. We still got we got some watchers, but Let your friend, everybody
what do you mean
who's
by
on.
watchers.
We got
they
some
stalkers.
the stalkers, sort of, but no, not stalkers. We got some good people in the chat, man. So
I guess that's one of the good things about being older. I don't have any more baby mamas looking for child support or anything like that.
I know,
because all my kids are all grown up.
I know mine's are grown up too, but I don't want to get it because I got a girlfriend that wants to have a baby. You know what I'm saying? Like a girlfriend. You know, so I'm not in a serious relationship, so I have girlfriends still. You know what I mean?
But at this point, once you get to, you say you're 40,
you're
40, so really, for you to have a kid at this point, it would be like you need another kid, like you need another TV, right?
I don't know, dude. Like,
I mean,
I wouldn't mind. Like, yeah, you seen Sergeant Liam over there, my daughter's son. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I don't.
And that's number 7. You know, so it's like.
I'm no doctor, but I think that I might have got kicked by a toddler in my privates a long time ago, so hard by some little cowboy boots he was wearing.
Yeah.
And I'm not positive, and I'm no doctor, but I think he might have helped me because I don't remember ever.
How many kids you got now? How many kids you got?
I think he fixed me.
Yeah.
At that point.
And how many is it?
What?
I know Jimmy Jr. and I know I don't know your other son.
Well, that I know of, there's probably like maybe 6 out there.
6?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm at 8. And I've been to like 40 paternity tests.
8?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've been
to what happens when you don't have.
And I wanted all those kids. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, when you don't got cable, you
see what happens when you have cable, nothing else to do, right?
Yeah, I forget. Like I always say.
What happens when
I
you buy
remember
your condoms at the Dollar Tree.
I know at the Dollar Tree. When I was having kids, it was before the Dollar Tree was even around, man.
Okay.
So it was like I'm trying to keep that camera right on you, dude, so they can see the famous Jimmy Abeyta, my homie Jimmy Abeyta, my brother live in the house. Ike Diaz live. We doing it big. I want to say hi to Susan. Susan just jumped in with us. How you doing, Susan? She's saying hi to you, Jimmy. Everybody comes in and says hi. You know what I mean?
That's cool. You know what's funny about this? I don't know if they can see it, but there's a little bit of a delay on our voices.
Yeah.
We almost look like we're out of a Japanese Godzilla
movie.
Oh, Godzilla. Oh.
And then the voice comes on later, huh? I remember those old days. Yeah, you got it, dude. I don't know why it does that. I really don't. But when you play it back live, everything comes out perfect. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's crazy.
So while we're on the air, it's like a delay. So I'm used to it already. You know what I mean? I'm used to the
delay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get into this next question I got for you. What's your favorite memory as a performer? Like what really got you going on it? You know what I mean?
Well, there's a lot. Too many. There again, so many to mention. I could write a book, but there's maybe a couple. Well, the one I shared about Paul Rodriguez at the Boulder Theater, that was one of them. And then when I was doing a tour with some great entertainers, I don't know if a lot of maybe the younger people might not recognize these names, but it was I was doing a show with SOS, Midnight Star.
I know all those.
Wood,
yeah. Oh yeah.
And Sugar Hill Gang.
Man, that's a classic.
We had a show in Albuquerque on a Friday night, and we had a show the following night in Pueblo, Colorado. So that's like a 6, maybe 5.5, 6 hour drive. So I rode in a 9-passenger van with Brenton Wood's manager, Sugar Hill Gang, and Sugar Hill Gang's manager.
In one van?
In one van. So all the way for 5.5 hours, I was making them laugh, and they were loving it. And I don't know what it is about black people. For some reason, they don't call me Jimmy Abeyta. They call me Jimmy Abeyta.
Really?
And that's what the manager said. His name's Blacksmith. the manager for Sugar Hill at that time. Sugar Hill Gang. Jimmy Abeyta, that is one funny. He is one funny ass. And here's another thing too. He said Mezkin. There's no C in Mexican. Yeah. He's like, you are one funny ass Mezkin, Jimmy Abeyta.
And he was probably using the F word, right?
I don't know about all that, but I just remember him saying Mezkin and Jimmy Abeyta. And so that's not the great part. What the great part was, I told him, I said, man, you guys are, what an honor to be here with you guys in this van and cruising with you guys and hanging out, because you guys are the originators. You really started it all in the rap game. And you know what he said? He said, no, Jimmy, he goes, you're wrong. He goes, we're not the ones who started it all. We're not the originator. The originator is these the breaks. Who sings that?
Yeah, Grandmaster Flash Fierce. Oh no, these are the breaks. I can't.
Curtis Blow.
Curtis Blow, yeah.
He said Curtis Blow is the originator. He's the one that started it all. He was one of the first. And I said, yeah. And he goes, and as a matter of fact, Curtis is a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he goes, as a matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to call him right now. So he did. He called Curtis Blow. And he even said, he goes, I'm here with Jimmy Abeyta. Curtis, what are you doing, man? I'm here with Jimmy Abeyta. This is one funny ass Mexican from Colorado. And he goes, say something, Jimmy. And he had me on speakerphone, and I was like, what an honor to be talking to you, Curtis, you know, and all this. And we were talking. He's like, that's cool, man. Maybe we'll get to work together someday. That was one of my greatest memories as an entertainer. That was the one to put in my books for sure. And then there's last but not least, this was the most recent one. I was doing a show with Carlos Mencia at the Paramount Theater, and I was getting ready to go on stage, and we were backstage, and I was sitting there, and the guy was getting ready to introduce me. I could tell because he was saying, we got a local guy here from Colorado getting ready to come up, and he was getting ready to introduce me. And Carlos knew that because we had done another show prior to that. And Carlos came up to me, and he started rubbing my shoulders. And
rubbing your shoulders?
I mean, from behind, you know, like knock him dead, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Party on. Like,
she said, kill him. Go out there and tear him up, Jimmy.
Yeah, and you opened up for him, right?
He was kind of like more or less like a coach does to a boxer when they're getting ready to go out and fight, you know, right before. And that's what he did. And when he did that, it made me feel so good to know that he gave a damn, you know, and he did that.
Yeah,
so that was kind
cool,
of
man.
It was just a cool feeling, and it was a rush. And I went out and I killed it, and I loved it, and I had a great set, sold out crowd, Paramount Theater.
I know he kind of gets a bad reputation, you know, because what's the name in the Frogcast?
They call him Carlos Mencia.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of comics don't like him, you know, and I just the way I look at it is, if you don't got nothing good to say about somebody, don't say
it at all. You know what I mean?
And how do rumors get started? They're started by the jealous people. You've heard it all.
Yeah.
And whether or not he is a thief and whether or not he did steal jokes, that's between him and whoever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to get involved because
guaranteed.
He's gonna have to answer to it
on his own.
His own.
Yeah.
And as far as I can see, and as far as I'm concerned, he's always treated me with respect, and he's always been cool to me. I've known him for years. I've opened up for him many times. The first time I got to open up for him was in 1998 for the Latin Comedy Jam at Mammoth Event Center. Now it's the Fillmore on Colfax, but at that time it was called it was called the Mammoth Event Center, and Joey Diaz is the one who hosted it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's a good friend of mine. And Joey Diaz was the MC.
We were talking about him earlier, remember?
And
but I'm talking bad about his friend and the Frogcast. You know, you know who I'm talking about already.
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Frogcast. We call it the Frogcast because of Resident Vids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there again, you know, it's the politics of comedy. You're going to see it all the time. I've seen it over the years, you know. And anytime a comic has ever approached me or said, you know, he ain't funny or she ain't funny or what do you think of that person, I always just say, hey, you know, uh, comedy is one of the most subjective things on planet Earth. And you know, some people, what might be some person's not cup of tea, might be their favorite style of comedy.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people love Fluffy. I think he's a great comic in his own right, but he has his own style. It's storytelling, you know, and
yeah, guaranteed.
I mean, I give props to any comic that can tell a whole story and get laughs in between. But I'm more of a one-liner type comic where my sister went on a diet. I want to do my part and help out, so I stole her food stamps.
Yeah.
You know, boom.
Yeah. So I kind of studied that a little bit.
Punch.
Yeah.
Set up, punch. My niece went to get her taxes done. They said, "Who do you claim?" She said, "West Side." Stupid.
Yeah.
See, that's my style of joke.
Yeah.
Fluffy, on the other hand, he'll tell a whole story about how something happened in a hotel. He goes on and on and on. He gets laughs in between, but then the big bang is at the end with the punchline, you know.
So I'm like stuck in the middle there because you know I don't like to really talk about but I'm like I do the one-liners and then I also try to tell the storytelling too. So you know, do you have advice for me on that? Like, which way should I go? Is there a certain way, or should I try both?
Well, I'll give you the same advice that Paul gave me many years ago. You can't plant an orange tree today and expect oranges tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to grow.
You know, you got to go to the school of hard knocks. You know, they have these comedy classes. You've heard about them. I'm sure you've seen them. A lot of comedy clubs will have where a seasoned comic will go and give lessons. You know, but ultimately, what it comes down to is the best school is the school of hard knocks and a live audience. The best way to test your skills and hone your act is in front of a live audience. That's what open mics are for when you're first starting out.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a growing process. You got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And you're bound to bomb. You're bound to get booed. You're bound to have bad sets, you know.
I've been close to getting booed, but it didn't happen. I better knock on some wood.
Well, that means you got to do more shows.
Yeah, I've been close to
it's gonna happen. It's inevitable.
But you got to remember, I've been on stage over 1,000 times because of the hip hop stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm used to being on stage, but I'm not used to the whole comic run. You know what I mean?
Well, everybody has to. I think you were asking me earlier what I thought of a lot of the younger up and coming comics.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that one. That question.
I might as well say it now.
Yeah.
So that was your question. What was?
Well, yeah. I'm gonna come to that question. Yeah, that's one of my questions that I wanted to ask you.
Oh, okay.
Was about that, but let's talk about that in a little bit because that kind of leads. It's gonna lead me into another question after that.
Okay.
Because I got some other stuff. But I'm gonna talk about real quick what else I got going on real quick. So, you're live with Ike Diaz Live. This is Ike Diaz Live. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you listen to the whole video. This is a great interview I'm doing with the awesome Jimmy Abeyta from Denver, Colorado, the legend. He is here with me tonight live in the house, and I'm so blessed and so grateful that he's here. I want you to check out KBLP LLC Podcast 4 on YouTube. I want you to check out KBLP LLC Podcast on YouTube. I want you to check out Ike Diaz Live on YouTube. I want you to check out the 2 Ike Dog channels on YouTube. That's the music channels. And then you can also check out KBLP LLC on Spreaker, which outlets to iTunes, to iHeart, to Spotify. We're on all those outlets. Pandora, you can catch us on everything. So all you got to do is look up Ike Diaz, The Jam. You got to look up Michelle Auger with What the F, Planet B.O.B., Denise Harris with Encounters. We have so many different podcasts. TWD's coming back with Denise Harris. That's one of our hit podcasts. Make sure you check that out. We have our new podcast that just started, Zach Morrison. He does awesome podcasts. He tells it like it is. And I can't forget the Freak, Chris Stevens, the Freaks in the Basement. So make sure you check out the Freak, Chris Stevens, and my little sister Desiree Pickett, who does Chain. That's a hit audio drama. So you want to check out the audio drama. You will be really impressed. And then you want to check out Lolita Diaz. She does the hip hop music. You know, it's pretty cool because she does a new hip hop music and she has a big following. So it's pretty cool that she put her show together. So once again, you're live with Ike Diaz with my special guest, Jimmy Abeyta, the awesome comic, the amazing Denver, Colorado comic, the legend, Jimmy Abeyta. Thank you for being here again. Once again, I appreciate it, my brother.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. So we're gonna get back to the questions. Ready for some more? We need a drink of water.
Sure, I'm good.
You want another water?
I'm good.
All right, because I got some more. I got some ice cold waters in the fridge when you're ready. When you're ready for another water, because we're getting kind of, my water's getting hot. I have to get me one here in a second. So, my next question is, I'm gonna word it kind of like that way. Was you poor growing up? I mean, that's kind of personal, but was you poor growing up?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we were so poor, we only had one cockroach. And he held a sign, "We'll work for food." And we were so poor, if you opened up our refrigerator, you could hear an echo. Hello, 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 hello. Ricola.
I know I need a mint right now because I'm slamming this popping water. Ricola. I haven't heard that commercial forever, dude.
We were so.
Oh yeah, because he does the echo thing, in the Ricola. I thought you were talking about me saying I got bad breath right now.
We were so poor. The only thing we had to snack on was our mocos, and that's boogers for you white people. And, I'm kidding.
Go ahead. Finish your story. Finish that.
So we were so poor. We would.
Oh shoot! Gotta be careful right there.
We were so poor. Oh, did I do something?
No, it's okay. I'll fix it. There it goes. Okay. Wait, mine came disconnected a little bit.
Okay.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Oh, there it is. Hold on just a second because it got disconnected. There you go. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Ike Diaz live with Jimmy Abeyta. We're doing it big. Go ahead, finish it for me.
Okay, we were so poor. We sneak in the drive-in, in the trunk.
Oh yeah.
And we would have got away with it too, but then the guy at the ticket thing says, that'll be $10, and one of the kids in the trunk wants the other one to stop touching him.
Oh no. No, Jimmy, you got deep on that one. No, that was dark. That was dark. That was that's what you call a dark comedian vocal.
Yeah, but you guys out there listening, don't think that was meant to be dirty. It could have been just the innocent because we were kids. So
yeah, that's back in the days when things were different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things were a whole lot different back in those days, man. Like nowadays, they take that kid and put him on Ritalin. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and like I said earlier, kids nowadays got it easy. They don't realize we used to get hit with whatever was handy, the lamp, the ashtray. One time, my mom couldn't find nothing to hit us with. She used one of the other kids.
Like a chair. Oh man, that's a good one, man. That's a really good one. Like a chair. The way you projected it was like a chair, man. Like the objective, man. Like boom, boom, boom. So that was That's pretty funny, man. I have some stuff like that, dude. I have something I wrote like that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But it's not the same thing, but it's kind of similar to the way you laid it out. What else about growing up, man? Give me some other stories that you have that's pretty positive. That's pretty funny as far as along the lines of positivity. That's funny. You know what I mean? Or along the lines of negative, you know.
Well, I could be PG-17 or PG-13, right? So if I want to share this, I want to share this story with you that happened.
Bring it.
You know, this is something I believe that everybody's had at least once in their life, won't admit it, and that's caca stains. Well, for those of you non-Spanish-speaking people, that's soiled underwear or skid marks, right?
Yeah.
But I was concerned about it as a kid, and I tried scrubbing them out. I tried shouting them out. Get the hell out! My mom started laughing at me. She told me to use a toothbrush. And she stopped laughing when she found out that I used her toothbrush.
Oh, man, you kill me, dude. I've been cracking up. Like normally, if you were just sitting here telling me this, I'd just be laughing and laughing.
But really, everybody's.
But we're on the air. You know what I mean?
I bet you even the Pope has had them.
Yeah. Everybody.
It would bring a whole new meaning to holy crap.
Yeah. I don't wear white drawers no more. I grew up on white drawers. I wear boxers now, so it's not. You know what I'm saying?
I had a friend that she was so lazy she didn't even want to worry about cleaning them or scrubbing them out or shouting them out or any of that.
Yeah.
So she would just wear brown underwear.
I'm telling you, man, I'd be laughing this whole. If I was just in the background listening, you would just be hearing me going. You know what I'm saying? That's how funny Jimmy Abeyta is, man. I remember at the club, we did a show one year. This was either the late '90s or 2000, and he just had me cracking like his whole set. I was just cracking up, like I couldn't stop laughing. I was just sitting there watching him, and I was just laughing and laughing and laughing. And I had never heard it before. I had never heard Jimmy get down like that. I had done shows with him, but I was always so busy running around, checking, looking over the till, looking over the door, you know what I mean, making sure everything's running correct, because I was the promoter. Yeah. So, I never had a chance to sit there and listen to you. And that one night I had that brief moment to sit there and listen to you for your set. Well, and I was like, man, I just cracked up the whole time, dude.
I'm glad you brought that up because, there's been people that have said, yeah, I seen Jimmy, he's all right, or he's not that funny or whatever. And at the first couple times I heard it, I might have got my feelings hurt a little bit, or, and then I started thinking about it and I realized, it's not their fault because they don't realize, I would say about 75% of the people in the city of Denver have seen me at benefits or bars or just whenever house parties or something when they're not there to see comedy, or even some opening up for some groups, some musical acts. It's not their fault because they didn't go there to see comedy, or they don't realize that there's even comedy going on. A lot of people are talking in the background. So because I'm an entertainer horror, I'll get up on a picnic bench. I don't care. You get me a mic and you get me at least 10 people and I'll because it's like a drug for me. I'm addicted, and it's just something that I always have done. I'm not going to hesitate to get in front of people. I don't care where it's at, barbecue, picnics, any family function, whatever, wedding reception.
Guaranteed.
And so a lot of the people that say that he's not that funny, they've never been to the comedy works, or they've never seen me at a comedy club, or to Paramount Theater opening up for a comedy headliner, etc. So they haven't seen me in that kind of an element, and it's not their fault. Of course they're going to think, he's all right, because ultimately if you see me at a bar, at a dive bar or a neighborhood bar or an open mic thing or a jam session or a baptismal or something, there's going to be a lot of people talking. So that would be like me saying a joke where my sister went and I tried and
you need some more water.
and you know, it's going to be cut up and it's going to be broken
Yeah,
up.
okay.
So of course the joke ain't going to make sense if you don't hear the whole joke in its entirety. And a lot of the jokes they hear in that situation, they didn't get to hear it in their entirety. So it's not doing me justice.
Yeah.
But you think I'm going to stop doing it?
Never, never, dude.
I will never stop until my last dying breath. You know, and a lot of people say, Jimmy, you're getting old. You know, aren't you afraid that you're never gonna be a household name? I say, you know what? I tell them in response to that. Okay, one, I'll never stop doing it because for the love of making people laugh. It's the gift of laughter. It's one of the greatest gifts God ever gave man. And for me to be a messenger, I'm never gonna stop. And two, I'm not a model. I don't have to look pretty. All I have to do is be funny. And I don't care if I have to get up there in a wheelchair or a walker. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And if I could make one person laugh in his or her deathbed, then I've accomplished something.
Damn it.
I'll give you an example.
Well,
a good friend of mine.
It's just my headphone.
You might have heard of him. Eddie Cavasso. He was a Golden Glove champ, and he was one of the best boxers to come out of Colorado at his time.
What year was that? That name sounds familiar.
It was in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Late 90s, early 2000s. But Eddie Cavasso was a boxing icon in Colorado for many years, and Joey Romero as well. But Eddie Cavasso was in his deathbed at a hospice, and I went to go see him.
Wow.
And he was dying. He couldn't even talk. But I walked up to him and I held his hand. And his sister said, Jimmy, he can't hear you. Or he can see you, but he can't hear you. Or he can hear you. He can see you and he can hear you, but he can't talk. So don't expect a response. And I said, that's fine, whatever. He's like my brother. And I went up and I grabbed his hand. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. He could hardly hear me, so I went next to his ear and I said, I love you. I love you, Eddie. And not in a homosexual way. And he went, ah, and he laughed. Yeah. And the next day he passed away. But you know what?
I'm sorry, man.
No, but that meant a lot to me because guess what? When I got to make him laugh before he left.
Yeah, that's
and it meant a lot to me, even though he couldn't laugh out loud the way that we normally laugh, but I could tell he was laughing. He did. He went and I saw a little bit of a smile too. So
yeah, that's a good feeling, man. You know, to catch him the day before, and then I'm sorry about your loss in that situation, man, but you did a good thing right there. You know, you really came through for somebody, you know, and the whole family probably appreciated it in the long run, thinking about it. You know what I mean? You could look back and say, man, you know, humbly, you know, the family appreciated you going through and doing that for them, man. So I give you respect for that, Jimmy. You know, I really do give you respect for that, man, because it's hard. I know you know my history, you know my story on what I've been through, you know what I mean? And it's a long list, and like all of us, you know what I mean? We've all been through it. So it's not anything new, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For as far as my end goes, you know, so. So the big question is, the next big question is, what do you have coming up?
Nothing major.
Nothing major. We got something coming up. That's major. You want to do major?
In the mix, but I'm gonna be working on a couple of projects. I'm doing a Valentine's thing at the Hangover on the 15th, I believe. Yeah, and that's gonna be cool. Some other entertainers as well, and then of course the thing that we were talking about. You were thinking about putting together hip hop and comedy, and that's a great idea. It's a great concept.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do that for years, man. I mean, we basically used to do that. You remember back in the days?
Yeah.
that's how we used to do it. We used to bring in the hip hop artists, and then we used to bring in the comedians. They used to do 10-minute sets or 15-minute sets. You remember them days?
Yeah, and if I really want to, you know, I could even bring up some stuff about like my grandma. I didn't even realize it, but my grandma used to rap kind of. She used to say, "I was cooking tortillas the other night. Me and my husband had a fight." And she started beatboxing. No, I'm kidding. She didn't want to beatbox.
Man, that's crazy. You know, because I believe you, and then you were like, "Oh, I'm just joking." You know what I mean? So, because I get gullible sometimes, so I'm like, "Oh man," and then boom, you hit me with the "I'm just joking, man." You know what I mean? So that's pretty crazy. So tonight, you know, me and him, we have some appointments to hit a couple clubs up that we were interested in. You know, I just want to let this out. So, because we're going to put this event together where we're going to bring in some hip hop artists, you know, to open up the night, and then we're going to finish out with the comedians. So, I'm pretty excited. We're probably going to bring in DJ Sci-Fi. Shout out to my homie Simon.
Hey, what's up, Sci-Fi? I know him.
Yeah, that's the homie. You know, he does all my shows for me. DJs on my shows. So hopefully we get him for the event. And you know, I've done a lot of shows with him too. So you know, the list, like your list, goes on. You know what I mean? Me and him done a lot of shows together.
Oh yeah,
man. I could sit here all night naming. You know, I don't like to drop names, but shoot, we've done a lot of shows. The only reason I brought up Too Short is because I got the 2 tracks coming out with him.
right on.
You know what I mean? We got some bangers that I did with him. You know what I'm saying? So I bring them up like that there. So we know we got that coming up. Me and Jimmy gonna put this together. We're gonna put this together for you guys. You know, a little bit of the hip hop. You know, good hip hop. You know, I'm not trying to bring out gangsters or nothing. You know what I mean? And then we're gonna bring out some great comedians. What's the comedian's name that you have coming up with us?
Well, he's a new kid that I discovered in Grand Junction, and he has a rare disease called Wilson's disease, where it causes him to shake a lot, almost like Parkinson's. It's similar in that manner, but it's copper poisoning. But anyhow, he shakes a lot, and he uses that in his comedy. A lot of funny stuff, and he auditioned for America's Got Talent, and he's really doing good. He's actually going to be a big name someday. So, yeah.
Yeah, I believe
Stanley Arnett is his name.
Stanley Arnett. Yeah, Is he on Google? Is he on YouTube? Is he?
Yeah, I think
does he have
Google his name?
Yeah, we can look him up real quick just to show everybody.
Yeah.
On YouTube,
do that, huh?
On YouTube or Google or what? Yeah, we could.
You can do that while we're still talking.
Yeah, I'm screen sharing, man.
Technology is amazing.
Oh yeah, dude, that's us right there. You know what I'm saying? Cool. So is he on YouTube or Google? You said.
I would say YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to look him up.
Stanley Arnett. Hey.
What's up?
You're not dyslexic, are you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why?
Did you hear about the dyslexic gang member?
No, what happened?
Yeah, he was supposed to be down for the NSMs. He was claiming the M&Ms.
That's crazy. I forgot how to spell his last name, though.
You got it right, except for it's 2 N's, I believe.
2 N's? Okay.
Oh, no, 2.
Yeah. 2 N's?
Yeah.
I can't really play his content because I'll get a copyright strike, but if we could show everybody who he is and we can find him.
Let's try Arnett. Arnett. Try that.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. ETT, phone home, bato. So am I close? Angry Birds, Benjamin Arnett.
Try comedian Stanley Arnett.
Comedian.
Should be on YouTube. That reminds me, speaking of the Google thing.
Should I put comedian from Colorado, Stanley Arnett, to give us a wider range of I'll try this first, and then if it don't, then I'll put it from Colorado.
Nope, still not coming out.
Well,
like I said, he's just starting out.
Is it?
Let's see. Scroll down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's an Andrew Stanley stand up.
No.
Sometimes it's like way down. You have to search for some of these comedians. Sometimes.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So I was gonna tell you about share a funny story with you. My girlfriend smokes so much weed, she can't even donate her organs to science. Could you imagine the person who gets her organs? They're gonna wake up from the operation table. You gonna eat those chips?
And those chips. Oh shoot!
She's getting me worried because she's starting to forget things.
Yeah.
And she's getting what I call Potzheimer's. Potzheimer's, and the reason why I say that is because she tells me one time, she goes, Jimmy, it's not that I forgot, it's just that I don't remember. There's a difference. I said, oh really? There's a difference between forgetting and not remembering? She goes, yes, there's a difference. I go, okay, what is that? She goes, Google it.
Google. Was she blowing it away? And you got me cracking up tonight, dude. Yeah, I just wanted to see so I could check him out later to see.
You could try this, Stanley Arnett at the Denver Improv.
Arnett's the Denver Improv. There's a Mike Harris. Okay, from Colorado. I'm put. So he's been around. He's done some pretty major shows, huh?
No, not really. He's just starting out. But like I said, you know.
Man, I really would like look at the Fraudcast.
I don't see it.
I'll have to look him up later because I really want to check him out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I know he's pretty funny. I already know. You know what I'm saying? Because if you tell me he's funny, I know he's funny. You know, like.
He's a little bit more adult rated, but he's very funny.
Yeah, when we do these nightclubs, it's gonna be like, you know what I mean, adult rated anyway, so it works out perfect, you know.
Has anybody else tuned in?
I didn't even look. I haven't even looked. Probably, but I didn't check it out.
Too bad we can't talk to him.
Like that's what I was trying to.
They can't talk to us.
I was trying to get D Marble to show me how, because he adds people to his chat, and you could talk like on FaceTime with them. And I called him late at night, and he was like ready for bed. So shout out to D Marble. So we couldn't do that. You know what I mean? We couldn't get that.
Oh, there's some more people.
Was there more people in there?
I think so. No.
Oh no, it was me saying hi back to everybody again.
Oh, okay.
I try to say hi right away, so we keep them in. You know what I mean? We keep them listening instead of. Just man, I try to leave it on this a lot so that people find out. So they're looking at us forever. So I'll switch off to this. So people, make sure you go to Ike League and request me. I hope I have some room for everybody. If not, yeah, it's at 5,000. So I'm gonna go to Ike Diaz because I need to build that page back up since I was jacked. It jacked me. Ike Diaz, Northland, Colorado, Flat Earth. So make sure you request me right here at Ike Diaz, guys. I have a lot of room for friends, so make sure you request me. Make sure you request Ike Diaz lives or Ike Diaz. Make sure you request me Ike Diaz on this. I'll leave it on here just for a minute so that We finished up we only got a few more questions to go, and then we'll be finished up so we can catch the club and hit the club. We're gonna just hit those two clubs and see, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to show you that dang business card for that other, but you already know what club I'm talking about because it got some full sound, sound stage and everything. You know what I mean? This is what we run by KBLP LLC.
As long as it's not at that one club called the Church, because I felt awkward.
The Church.
I felt awkward going to that place because it used to be a church. So when I went there, the one time that I did go there, because of the fact that it used to be a church, I just drank wine all night.
The Church is on like 9th and Broadway, right? You drink wine and crackers.
Some of these wine on the way home.
Wine, crackers, and cheese, huh? No, I'm getting them. I'm just trying not to laugh through the whole podcast, and I'll start choking and stuff. So I'm trying to keep myself calm. You know what I mean?
What about when I was in New Orleans? New Orleans is known for the Mardi Gras, right?
Yeah, guaranteed.
And these women are showing their boobies for some beaded dollar necklaces.
I know.
You get like $1,000 for $1. I'm thinking to myself, my God, what would they do for a Klondike bar?
I know. And you see some big old bitty titty bitties. I better keep myself clean here. Some big old titty bitties. So my next question is, how old were you when you first performed? Your first performance, take me back. And take me back to the feeling you first had on that first performance.
Well, like I said, I've always done it ever since I was little. But as far as the first time in front of a live audience with the microphone was in 1990 at a place called The Mint over on 84th in Washington. Some of you people probably don't know what we're talking about, but some of you might remember. It was kind of crazy because it was the first time that I ever performed, and they passed the hat. I made $78.
That's some good money, man.
For the first time doing it, and in front of a live audience, it is. And back in the days, the cost of living, $78 was probably equivalent to maybe like $225 now. So that was the first time. Yeah.
So how long was your set?
Oh, I don't even remember, but it's been so long. I think maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20.
You did a 15, 20-minute set for your first time?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had written down some stuff, and I actually even recorded it, and I had it for the longest time, and I would watch it, and I could see a lot of, as I got more seasoned and more experience, I would see some of my mistakes. But even though I made some mistakes that people do when you're first starting out, I was really impressed because I was actually pretty, I had some clever stuff, and even though I wasn't politically correct on a lot of the terminologies that I used, because I was green and I didn't know what I was doing, I still was pretty good as far as timing, and as far as some of the content, the jokes, they were pretty good as far as having a punchline and a good setup, and I was really impressed with it. Even though I was so green and new to it, I did pretty good for the first time.
That's pretty awesome, man. That's pretty awesome. But holler at me about your feelings, the way you felt inside, like before, while you were doing it, and after. That's what I really want to get at.
Well, it just goes back to the same thing. There's not a better feeling in the world of being able to make people laugh, and it's like a high. It's really hard to explain in words. like I said, it's one of the greatest gifts God ever gave man is the gift of laughter, and to be able to be a messenger of that is just like a high, and that's the best way to describe it. I was young. I was new to the game, and then the icing on the cake was, of course, at the end of the night when they said, "Jimmy, we passed the hat, and this is yours," and we counted it out. It was $78. That was the ultimate. Oh man! Plus you get paid. Wow, I'm in, and I was hooked ever since.
I don't want to. I always tried to get into the mint, but I was only like 14 years old. So so I always look older for my age. You know, when I was 14, I looked like I was 18. You know what I mean? So I was getting in the clubs. You know, but
plus you're pretty good size.
Yeah, I was always big, and you know that's why people let me into some of those clubs when I was that age. You know.
Did you have facial hair then too, or?
A little bit, just like peach fuzz stuff. Like, you know, that's what they used to call when we were kids. But I never got into like the men. I never got in. My sister used to hang out there. My older sisters, that was their spot when I was a kid. You know what I mean? But I never was able to get into there. And I always wanted to, you know what I mean? Like that was one of and they tore that place down. It's Taco Bell now.
Yeah.
It's Taco Bell now. You know what I mean? So it's pretty amazing, you know. The change in this area is so since I was a kid, the change because I actually lived out here when I was in 7th grade, and it was all dirt farms all over the place, man. Now it's all a city. Thornton, Northland, it's all a city now. Everything's changed. Nothing's the same. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is as advanced. You know what I mean? I want to thank whoever just joined in. I just noticed that we got 2 new listeners. Make sure you write in the chat for me. That'll be awesome. We went from we just added a couple listeners.
So how can we mention who they are?
If they are right in the chat, I can mention who they are. But I just noticed that we got 2 new listeners, so
cool.
It's pretty cool to have a couple listeners join in for us. Let me see if I get. I had a lock. Let's see if they wrote. Let me see if they wrote.
If they didn't, that means they have warrants.
If they didn't,
they want to stay incognito.
So
undercover. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Beth is one of them. Hi, Beth. How you doing? She says hi. Beth. She says hi, Jimmy.
Oh, right on.
I think she knows you. I think she knows you, dude. So hey, thank you very much, Beth, for stopping by.
It sounds familiar. I wonder if I owe her money.
I wonder if you owe her money, dude. I wonder, player. Yeah. So, but there 2 people added to the chat, but the other person didn't write.
Hey, so funny you should mention that about the player part. When I first started, I used to go as the name. My stage name was the Casanova of comedy, and now that I got older, I'm just the casserole of comedy. So
the casserole, man. I'm telling you, later on tonight, dude, I'm gonna be cracking up all night long, man. I'm gonna be like Jimmy Abeyta just killed it while we were on the air. I just couldn't keep laughing because, man, I would have choked up on my pop or my water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get to my next question, man, and this is something I'm working towards. I'm already in the door. I've already talked to representatives, and they want to pick something up, but they want me to put it all together. They want me to film it. Do you plan on doing? I know you got. So the reason I'm adding this, I know you got. I don't know if you want me to announce it now, or if you want. You know, we don't have to say anything about it. But do you have any plans on being? You know, Netflix is picking up everybody's special right now. You know what I mean? They're putting out money right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I got in the door right away. and I'm talking to them, and I'm seeing what they can offer. You know what I'm saying? Because they already were trying to pick up my they were already trying to pick up my documentary, but we couldn't work the deal out because the figures weren't right for because I could make more money through iTunes, through my outlets from what they were offering me. So do you have anything lined up, and would you do a Netflix special or any of those other outlets?
Of course, I would, and I would be honored if that would happen. And yeah, so I mean, that's like every comic's dream is to get on something like that, because they have so many viewers,
Yeah. Shout out to Jimbo. Jimbo's in.
Okay.
Jimbo's pretty cool, man. And Aaron Stevens. Shout out to Aaron Stevens. Thank you guys for stopping by. Jimbo and Aaron Stevens. You guys are awesome, man. I appreciate it, man. That's cool. We got a couple of other people joining.
Huh. That's cool.
That's pretty cool. Jimbo and Aaron Stevens. Shout out to you guys, man. Thank you for stopping by. We really appreciate it. We work hard doing these broadcasts. I keep calling them podcasts because I'm from the podcast world, but they're actually broadcast on YouTube. They're actually live streams, is what they're called. So I had to put this up because I keep putting my phone number out because I had to change I had to get a new Facebook. So people were asking me, was I putting my phone number out to them? So I think everyone is confused because I keep posting my number. I have a new Facebook. People keep saying they don't have my number no more. So 720-298-2121. That's 720-298-2121. Ike. So make sure you call me if you need to get a hold of me. So once again, you're rocking with Ike Diaz live. And then make sure you check out KBLP LLC podcast, KBLP LLC 4 on YouTube, and then KBLP LLC podcast on YouTube, guys. I don't want to mix that up. I start mumbling and rumbling, but we're screen sharing now. Posted this picture today. Remember that? Zapata, 2 guns. That's why I run with the Ike 2 guns. Ike 2 guns, the Colorado living legend. So let's get into these last couple questions that I got for you. So the reason I said we'll wait till the Netflix thing, man, that's something I'm moving forward to. So I'll keep that if when it comes up, I'm gonna have you involved in it because you've been setting the pace for me, especially because I'm barely getting into the comedic world. You know what I'm saying? And you set the ground rules for us, Colorado comedians. You know what I mean? Do you have an IBMD or whatever?
Or what?
The IMDb or yeah, I have one. But do you have one? Do you do your SAG? Do you do your SAG dues every year?
No.
Oh, see, I've been in movies before, so I pay my SAG dues every year. That way, in case I get called up for a role, you know what I mean? Excuse me.
Yeah, I was in Things to Do If You're Dead in Denver with
Really?
Garcia, and back then I was just an extra, so I didn't really have that many speaking parts.
I know that movie by heart. What part were you in, if you don't mind me asking?
It's the scene where they were in the restaurant.
You were in that part. You were in that scene. Yeah, there were several times right there on 5 Points, right? That restaurant, right? Yeah, that's where I grew up at, right there. I used to walk through there every day for school when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to walk.
I got to meet William Forsythe and Andy Garcia.
He's a good actor.
See, that's the thing. I don't collect autographs. I collect advice.
Yeah.
And Andy Garcia said, "Stay loose." William Forsythe said, "Hone your act and be true to yourself." and be true to the art.
Yeah, maybe that's where I got that from you, because when I meet like a famous person, I don't ask them for an autograph. I try to get as much information as I can. I try to get their phone number. I try to get, what advice they can give me. Like, just even talking to you, I try to pick your brain on what I could do to get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one of my favorite advice that I got ever was from Winona Judd. She said, "If you can conceive it, you can achieve it. You can believe it. Follow your dreams. Love, Winona."
Yeah, that's like the secret, man. Whatever you send out into the universe is gonna come back around if you believe enough. You know what I mean?
And Sir Mix-a-Lot said, "Keep rolling hard." Ultimately everybody has their own version, but it all comes down to the same thing. Don't ever give up.
Yeah, just keep moving forward, man. And I believe that. I believe that to be a fact. You know what I mean? I believe that to be a fact. You got to keep moving forward, and that's another thing I respect about you, because you don't stop. You keep on the grind. You know what I mean? I have never seen you stop. Doing what you love, and you just keep out. You're consistent. You're consistent. And how do you feel about that?
I've heard of other entertainers stopping or taking a break, so to speak, and I just never could understand how they could do that, because, like I said, to me, it's an everyday thing. I don't see how. I mean, it's my everyday therapy. It's not just a passion, but it's also my therapy. Comedy is my therapy in everyday life.
Yeah, I believe that as a fact, because um
Because everybody has bad days, and
yeah,
stress, and yeah. So
I keep moving forward regardless of anything else. People say, like, I hear people talking bad, like, not to me, but I hear them say, how old is it to be a rapper? Are you too old to be a rapper? And my response is, I look at some of these guys. Ain't you too old to be gangbanging?
yeah,
You know what I mean? And I use that in my little comedic skit. You know what I'm saying? My part of my show. I say, ain't you too old to be gangbanging? I heard this
well, I could
about
share an interesting story with you that has something kind of
similar.
similar.
Yeah,
Is I got a nephew that wears his pants down low
yeah.
to look cool, and my uncle wears them like that to keep cool. So
Oh man,
kind of an interesting concept.
that is, dude. That is, the objective of that is just amazing, dude. Like, I'm gonna think about that too, dude. Like, you got me thinking about so much stuff tonight, man. Like, I'm like amazed by some of the stuff you say. Like, like, it just cracks me up, dude. Like, I'm just glad you're still at it.
Well, I know we wanted to keep it clean, but I was going to tell you this has relevance to a lot of people now that marijuana is legal here, especially here in Colorado. Now that it's legal, a lot of people just constantly get high. They smoke weed all the time.
Yeah, guarantee.
And but they think you can't tell, and I can tell. I mean, I've been around long enough to tell, and I want to give you all you listeners, some Jimmy Abeyta helpful hints of how you can tell when somebody's high, when they're stoned. You ready?
Yeah, give it to me and break it down.
If you go to the Dollar Tree and you have to ask more than 3 times how much is
Oh
this,
yeah.
you're high, bro.
Yeah.
If you're on your cell phone and you're looking everywhere for it, what the?
I've done that before, actually, Jimmy.
I know it's here somewhere. You're high, bro.
I know, I've done that before,
if you're
dude.
eating a tamale and you're halfway through it and you just realize you didn't take the wrapper off, you're white.
You're white.
Okay, so
Man, you're killing me, Jimmy. You're killing me, dude. Man, you got me, dude. You got me. Remember the old Edith Gardens? Remember when it was good?
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what the scariest roller coaster is in Colorado?
What is it?
The one at Lakeside.
Man,
that's falling apart.
That's my favorite roller coaster of all time, dude. I've been all over. I've been to Houston. I've been to all kinds of places. California, dude, nothing compares to that Lakeside. The Sidewinder. I even did a song about it.
If you're on that, that's the scariest roller coaster in Colorado because it's falling apart.
Yeah.
If that ain't scary, I don't know what is.
I used to, when my kids were little, I used to let them go on it. And I used to run towards the lake just in case, because you always heard about stories about it going into the lake. So I used to see them take off, and then I'd run to the lake to make sure because I was going to dive in and save them. You know what I mean? But at that speed, there's a whole different, I don't even want to say nothing.
Well, speaking of Lakeside, you ever been so drunk you had to drive with one eye open?
Yeah.
Man, that's the last time I'll drink tequila and ride the bumper car.
when my kids were little, I used to go to Lakeside, and I used to, because you could take beer in there, you could drink it. That's when I was a drinker. I used to go in there and drink my beer, get all drunk, and then my wife would try to come pick us up, drive us home. You know what I mean? So we used to have a pretty good time, dude. I miss those old days when my kids were little.
Well, I'm just in a really good mood because my girlfriend got an IUD and my ex got a DUI.
Oh shit! So, she got the pregnancy control and your damn, that's messed up, dude. That's messed up. I haven't heard that word forever, an IUD.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, dude. That's my son right there. That's little Ike Dog right there. You remember him when he was little. You remember him when he was like that big. Look at how big that boy is now.
Wow.
I'm 6'1", and he's a little taller than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's big.
Yeah. He remembers you too. I talk about you, and he remembers you. So let me let's finish out these questions so we can get going before it gets too late. Because I was hoping to catch at least a manager or a manager or the owner, even. You know what I mean? We get to these clubs. I know the manager is going to be at the bar you want to go to because I have some friends that work there, or have worked there. I don't know if they still do. If you're a man, have heart, whether you're sober or drunk. So my next question is for you. Now this is what I want to get into because it kind of leads into my last question for you is how do you feel about these young comedians that are coming up now?
Well, like I said before, the biggest thing, you can tell when somebody's green or they're just starting out and they're not that experienced or seasoned because they tend to be too wordy. They haven't learned how to trim the fat, so to speak, and get to the point.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that if it doesn't have relevance to the joke, then why even say it? Why even bring it up? And other than that, it's not their fault. They don't know any better. And other than that, there's a lot of people that are just natural and they don't take long to move up the ladder. But ultimately, it doesn't matter who you are or how good you are or how naturally funny you are. You still have to pay your dues. Whether it's 10 years or a year, everybody's different. Some people are fast learners and some people aren't. But ultimately, you still have to pay your dues, and you have to go to school of hard knocks, and you have to go through the motions.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the reason I asked you that question is because I see a lot of these young comics, they're getting booked and they're not very good, and they're getting their flights paid for, they're getting $500 a night, and they're not very good yet. They still haven't paid their dues. That's why, I asked you the question.
It comes back to the same thing that I said before. Comedy is one of the most subjective things there is, and what might not be funny to you might be hilarious to other people.
Somebody else. Yeah,
and there's always the factor that different things. Different comics are more appealing to different groups of people. Like, say, for instance, there might be a really funny comic that's appealing to a lot of the college crowd, as opposed to another older, maybe black comic that's more likable for an older black crowd. A jazz type of people, more conservative, et cetera, and the list goes on and on. So, a lot of these younger cats that are just coming out that are doing really good, it's probably because they're more appealing to that age group, which it's crazy because now that they're having the finals of America's Got Talent, but this is all the champions. So this is all what they're doing is they're getting all the winners of all the previous shows, and they're having them compete so they could pick a winner of all the champions.
Yeah,
to try to find a champion of champions, so to speak. And they had a couple of comics on there, so they were saying, okay, so you got America has voted, and they were saying that you got a lot of the college kids from this area and this part of the United States, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought it was an interesting way of looking at it, because for the first time they were showing you got a lot of these people from this area and this people from this area voting for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it comes down to there's a lot of different people in this world, and the more national exposure you get, the better, and the more people are going to come and see you because they say, "Oh yeah, I seen that guy. He's funny." Because he does this or because she does that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard.
Yeah. So, you don't see a lot of comics doing like gimmicks and gadgets anymore, man. What was that a dying breed? Was that like a you know what I mean?
Are you talking like prop comics?
Yeah, prop comics. Do you see that a lot anymore?
Carrot Top.
Yeah, Carrot Top and those kind of comics, man.
It might have been something that was popular at one time, and maybe it's not so much. But who knows? There might be a comic out there that we don't know about. Just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean that they don't exist. And I'm sure they do.
Yeah, guaranteed.
But you're right. Prop comics is not a common thing.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you
just gave me an idea. Maybe I should just do my shows from now on in my underwear.
Yeah,
that might be something different.
Yeah, dude, you gotta watch out for the Me Too movement, though. That's what. See, that's.
I thought you were gonna say don't wear the ones that I wore that day of my mom's.
Oh shoot! Yeah, don't wear those boxers, man. No, see, that's why I was, wanted to talk to you a little more too, because the Me Too movement is going on, and there's a lot of censorship words. We have the freedom of speech, man, but I have some stuff in my comic routine that may be offensive, and you came from an era where even if it was offensive, people didn't, as long as you didn't drop F-bombs or the N-word or, things, or the W word, as long as you weren't dropping those kind of words, you were pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, people respected you.
So that comes with the experience, too. And the way I've always said this, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And you learn over the years when you go to the school of hard knocks, and from trial and error, you learn the proper terminologies, the way to say things. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I'll give you an example. The N-word is a touchy subject for a lot of comics, but it's not for me, because I just realized, I remember back in the day when we couldn't say certain things. We had to say catch a tiger by the toe, because we couldn't say the other word.
Yeah, I remember.
Or jerry rigged, because we couldn't say the other word.
Yeah, but now all these kids say it. That's why I brought it up.
Why not just have a word that's harmless, like Jerry? That would be a good way to say it. You could say, man, that is one black Jerry. Jerry, please. Oh, what's up, my Jerry?
What's up, my Jerry?
So there again, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah, how the approach is, how I understand what you're saying, man. That's like,
and just like all these pho restaurants, the Vietnamese restaurants. There's one right over there off of Federal and Louisiana, I believe, and it's called Pho.
Yeah,
555.
I won't need it.
I know which one you're talking about. A coincidence, but Pho 555 is also Mike Tyson's pin number. So
you giving away his pin number? So I've been watching a lot of Mike Tyson lately, like his interviews and stuff like that, because we really didn't get a chance. Without social media, we really didn't know Mike Tyson. All we knew is he knocked fools out. So I was listening to a bunch of his interviews lately, and he's a different breed, man. He's a different animal, and he still talks with that soft voice, like, hey,
yeah,
he was a crazy story I'll bring up real quick. The dude from Jackass, you see how I said asked? He said that he knocked on the door, and Mike Tyson answered the door. And Mike Tyson says, "You got any coca?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said him and Mike Tyson stood in the bathroom for 3 days smoking it, man.
Oh, man.
That's how much coca he had, dude.
Well, I got something funny to share with you, and I'm not going to lie, since we're being honest. I tried it once. I tried crack once, and I'm not going to lie to you. I probably would be a full-blown crackhead right now if it wasn't for two things.
What's that?
One, we ran out.
Oh, shit.
And two, we couldn't find nobody that wanted to buy a microwave at 4 a.m. So, thank God for that.
I'll be honest with you. I have never tried it in my life, man. I have never tried it, dude.
I just gotta tell you, don't.
Yeah, I know. Everybody tells me that, dude. I have never done hard drugs in my life, dude. Like, I was an alcoholic for years. Like, no, I call it a couch potato drunk. I'd work all day, come home, coach my kids, you know what I mean? And then I'd get my 12-pack of beer, sit on the couch, drink my 12-pack of beer, and then go to bed and then start the day over, 4 or 5 times a week. That's what I was doing. You know what I mean? So I call myself a couch potato drunk, And then, like I said, I quit drinking. It's been 10 years. I just quit out the blue. I didn't have to go through no 12-step program. I didn't have to go through any of that. I don't do drugs. You know what I mean? I'm just like I'm a boring person, basically.
When it comes to alcohol, I'm not gonna lie. I like to drink on weekends, but I'll have a vodka. I drink vodka and cranberry. I never drink and drive. I always make sure I have a designated driver, and that's my way of winding down and relaxing for working hard all week. And I think the difference between an alcoholic and somebody who's not an alcoholic is somebody who drinks because they have to drink.
Yeah.
Not because they want to drink. I drink because I want to drink.
Yeah.
And I only drink on weekends, and I never drink during the day, and I never drink during the week.
Yeah, that was the other thing about me. I would never drink one I see people wake up and they head to the liquor store. And I'm like, wow, I was never like that. You know what I mean?
Well, there are alcoholics, people that do
You
that.
know, like I think about it and I'm like, wow, that's some amazing things. Like right here, I posted this right here. I said, the biggest battle in life is between you and the old you. I skipped it, but it's the biggest battle in life is between you and the old you. And this kind of reminds me of me. I never drank hard liquor, but I drank beer, and it kind of, it kind of reminds me of me, dude. You know what I mean? But I would never go back to drinking because I can't handle the hangovers, man. That was one thing that made me stop drinking was the hangovers, man. I just could not deal with the hangovers no more. So I just gave it up completely. And people say, "Well, how could you just stop?" I just stopped. There was no. Is the cord okay? You still hearing it good?
Yeah, I can hear me.
Yeah. So there was like I said, there was no 12-step program. There was nothing like that. I just quit. It was just over. It was just completely over. So I got one last question. I was leading into because of, like I said, the young kids, the young comics that are coming into this and they're making money and they're doing shows, they're getting booked and they're getting travel paid for, motels paid for. How do you feel about that? Being in the business now, how do you feel about the business that you're in because of that, the situation, the changes where, I know, like you and me, where I was in the music business for so long, I had to pay my own route to get to the city. I had to pay my own airplane, pay my own motel. You know what I mean? There was nothing. There was nothing. Oh shoot! Shoot! Hold on. Since the commercial started playing, let's stop it real quick. My bad. But anyway, um, how do you feel about the business now, knowing that all this money's being spread around to these young kids that are doing comedy, you know what I mean? And they're getting booked and they're getting paid, they're getting paid to go to Texas and they're getting paid to go to Chicago and they got the Motown and they're getting a food card, you know. And when we came up, it wasn't like that. It wasn't, I feel the same way with the rap music because we had to pay our own route. We had to pay for our own food. We had to pay for our own travel expenses.
I think what it comes down to is I feel this way about people. I've never been a jealous person, envious towards people when with their successes, no matter how big or small.
Yeah.
I think because it's if somebody gets a paid gig and they get paid good for it, more power to them. That's the way I see it. Because the more people, uh, the more comedy there is in this world, the better. And if somebody else is getting work, then I'm happy for them. I don't look down on them. Of course, the more work I get and the more paid gigs I get is always a good thing. But I'm not going to look down at somebody for getting booked and getting more work or more money, fancy hotels. I'm happy for them. If they was to throw some love my way, that'd be great. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think about all the time. Like I've hooked up so many young artists, like you know what I mean, to where I paid them, I've done this, I've done that, you know what I mean, and for them not to return the favor later on in life is kind of it kind of hurts, but there's nothing I can really do.
Well, they say in this business, be kind to everybody because a lot of the same people you'll meet on the way up is people you'll run into on the way down.
On the way down, yeah. Like
I try to get along with as many people as I can, as much as I can, and my motto is, you've heard that old saying, you can't please all the people all the time. Well, I added on to it. I said, you can't please all the people all the time, but as long as you can please most of the people most of the time, you'll be a success.
Yeah, dude. That's some real deep. That's real deep right there, man. That's real. Could you add to that? Is there anything you can add to that?
Yeah, I would have to say, you can't please all the people all the time. As long as you can please most of the people most of the time, you'll be a success. And never do it for the money. Do it for the love of the art.
Yeah, dude. I think that you're hitting it on the nail with that. You know what I mean? Like you're actually hitting it on the nail, because like a lot of people don't believe in and sticking it out. You know what I mean? And taking it to the long run. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and as far as professionalism, I got one more thing to say. Do you know the difference between a professional and an amateur?
Break it down to me.
An amateur makes mistakes. A professional makes mistakes as well.
Yeah.
But it goes unnoticed.
And break that down a little more for me. Break it down just a little more.
You can't get any more simple than that.
Because
an amateur makes mistakes. A professional makes mistakes too.
Because they're more known.
But it goes unnoticed.
On both of them, or just the professional?
An amateur makes mistakes. A professional makes mistakes too, but it goes unnoticed. A professional will make mistakes, but you can't tell, because that professional knows how to go on with the act and keep it going, and it goes unnoticed. They have experience in making mistakes.
Yeah. That's yeah. Thinking about it, man, the way you present it is pretty good, dude. Like I understand completely, dude. Like a lot of people, like that's the reason I had to ask you a little more about it. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people are gonna have to think about that, like comprehend it a little more as they go
As
along.
an actor goes, it might have variations with different professionalisms, like an actor, singer, etc., etc. I'm sure a comic gets to ad lib more and have fun with it more, but ultimately that's what it comes down to. I mean, they all have their own style, their own way of covering it up and making it not as noticeable. Like I remember seeing some old footage of Elvis when he was singing the song "I Did It My Way."
Yeah,
he was messing up and he was going, yeah, whatever, and he made a joke out of it and he laughed.
Yeah, just laughed it off and kept going.
And he kept going, but I mean, if somebody, that's because he was seasoned and he knew how to go on with it.
Like when I do these podcasts, when I mess up, I'll just keep going. I'll be like, oh, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because I've done so many podcasts. It's just a broadcast, podcast, whatever. You know.
Well, if you ever make a mistake again, you could always say,
I was jacking off. No, I shouldn't have said that. My bad, dude.
I thought we had to keep it clean.
I know. I know. It was a joke, man. It was a joke. I had to throw one in since you've been cracking me up all night.
No. If you, that reminds me of what somebody told me the other day. They said, Jimmy, do you realize that if you ever become rich and famous, because you know my last name's Abeyta, right?
Yeah. And
they said, if you ever become rich and famous, your butler's going to have to call you Master Abeyta.
Master Abeyta, Master Abeyta. That reminds me of the old UTFO. I know you got to remember the old UTFO. Master Abeyta. They were an old rap group, like from the 70s, 80s.
That doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, they were UTFO. It's one of my favorite old school groups, man. And they did a song called Master Baby. It was called Master Baby. But when you heard it, it sounded like Master Baby. You know what I mean? So
Speaking of keeping it clean, before I go, I wanted to let everybody know that I consider myself the chameleon of comedy. And the reason why I say chameleon is because I can adjust to any crowd.
That was the question we were supposed to bring up.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to let everybody know I take great pride in saying that I'm the chameleon of comedy because I can adjust to any crowd. I can even do church groups. I can be down and dirty if you want me to be more adult rated.
Yeah.
And I could do teenage.
You're versatile.
Yeah. And it comes with experience.
Yeah.
I could do quinceañeras, teenagers, whatever.
The reason I asked you about, I don't want to bring up what other thing you did, but the reason I asked you about it, because when I shoot a new video, I want to add that to my video. You know what I mean? So if you want to get paid a little extra money, if you still got that suit.
Oh, you're talking about clown?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got into being a clown for my son when he turned 1, and his mom asked me if I would do it, and I did, and I had fun, so much fun. I just kept doing it over the years, but I just got burned out on it. And kids are so ornery. I'm telling you, I got kicked in the privates. I had to pull my nose off. I had to pull my wig off. I just got tired of the abuse.
You're talking about Jimmy Jr.? Or are you talking about
Jimmy Jr. was the first one I did, but yeah, I'm just saying, I got tired of the abuse that kids were just so ornery.
Yeah.
And I just got burned out on it.
So before we go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? And then could you please list all your social medias that people can contact you and book you? Because I get a couple thousand listeners, throughout the week, throughout the next couple weeks. There's going to be a couple thousand listeners. You might get booked in Canada. You might get booked in, you know what I mean? That's how many listeners I get over the next couple of weeks. But, when I go live, I don't get that many listeners because, like I said, it's a new channel. You know what I'm saying?
I can give my email address. It's Al as in Larry, A as in Apple, F as in Frank, F as in Frank, comedyking@gmail.com.
Okay.
So it's laughcomedyking@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Facebook. My phone number, can I give it out?
Yeah, I give out my number all the time.
366-4369. That's 720-366-4369. And again, I can adjust to any crowd. I can even do church groups. The cleaner you want me to be, the less time I can do, but I could do at least 20 of church clean, 20 minutes of church clean, 30 minutes of PG 13, 40 minutes of PG 17, and I can do an hour and a half of anything goes.
That's cool, man. That's some good. Do you have a Gram or do you have a Twitter account?
I don't.
No, just the Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Just the Facebook. Yeah. Once again, I want to thank Jimmy Abeyta. Thank you very much for coming through. Ike Diaz Live. You know what I mean? Thank you very much, Jimmy.
Thanks
it's all love,
me.
man.
Appreciate it.
I think we had an awesome interview right now, man. Like an awesome broadcast. I mix it up because I'm used to the podcast world, but this was an awesome broadcast, man. And we put a lot of information out there, man. You know what I mean? I mean, you laid it down, man. You hopefully a lot of these younger comedians, they listen and they pick up a lot of what you're saying, man, so that they could look at the world differently and move forward. You know what I mean? Because I think what happens is a lot of these comedians and rap artists, they get these big bubble heads and they don't humble themselves like you and I, and they don't move forward. And I was at a point like that. You know what I mean? And I know you remember. When I was a lot younger, I wasn't as humble as I am now. You know what I mean? And looking up to you when, like when we first met, I would see the humble. I would see how humble you are, and I would see, you know what I mean, the different situations, how you move, how you adjust, and it helped me proceed. So I thank you for that. You know what I mean? Because like I said, we go back years, man, years and years.
I'm so nice. I'm so nice. Some people think I'm gay.
Oh, don't say it on us. You got kids and all that. Don't say no stuff like that.
No, I like it when guys think I'm gay though. This way they trust me with their ladies.
Oh, then it's over, huh?
Hey, speaking of gay, you know women that you know why women call it bi?
Why?
Because once they're with another woman, that's what they tell the guy.
Bye, fool. Bye, fool. It's over. Yeah, so you go deep. You got a lot. You do have a lot of one-liners, man.
Yep.
Like I said, like I'm still on the borderline of either. What's up?
Oh, nothing. I was gonna shake your hand again. Thanks for having me.
I do. I got obsessive compulsive disorder, man.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm weird about all that stuff, man. But man, I lost my train of thought when we started talking about obsessive compulsive disorder. But anyway, man, this was an awesome podcast, man. I really appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight. Make sure you listen to this all week. Share this for us. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. I hope everybody enjoys it. It's over for the evening. Once again, thank you, Jimmy Abeyta, for being here, man. You are awesome, man.
Thank you.
This was so cool, man. Was there anybody else you wanted to give a shout out to before I hit the stop button?
No, just all my listeners, all the people that have been my fans over the years. Thank you for your support. And too many to mention, but you know who you are. And and of course, without God, we're nothing.
Jesus, through Jesus, through